Joining me in studio is my hump day honey, Ken Beal. I don't know
He's
if our
back.
guest has heard that is your chosen name on the show.
I've never heard that before. Oh my god.
I didn't know how to break it to you in a text message.
That is
Oh my
the
gosh.
voice of Dylan Blaha, who joins us. Dylan Blaha is the state director for Let's Address Illinois, where he posts on Substacks 6 days a week.
Yeah,
And he's
good
also
stuff.
an organizer and former congressional candidate for the Illinois 13th District. Dylan has a lovely pooch that we just got to meet a moment ago.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name, by the way?
So that was Itzy. I have 3 rescue dogs. Captain, who was named after Captain America. That I didn't name any of them. So Sandy is a lab mix, and then Itzy's a poodle mix, and Captain's a border collie mix. So they're all mixed.
Oh, I love that. I want dogs so badly.
I want to just come visit because I'll bring Dottie Mae. We'll have a play date.
And on so Ken is filling in for me next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, along with Elliot Serrano, who works at Orphans of the Storm, where
Yes.
I adopted my dog when I was 10 years old, my first dog, Pepper, and I got to go visit the shelter, and they're rebuilding. They've been there for 100 years, and they're finally going to get a new structure.
Beautiful.
But folks, you've got to get out to places like Orphans of the Storm, the Anti-Cruelty Society, and open your hearts and homes to some beautiful furry.
adopt.
Expand your family, everybody. You can start out as foster parents. Dylan, tell us a little bit about well, first of all, I just got a text from somebody, and Ken and I were talking about when we know that there's a candidate, even if it's in our party, that is morally bankrupt, I will just leave that space empty on my ballot. I
Same.
do vote, but and especially if I know that they're not vulnerable. There are several candidates in my district several electeds in my district who weaponize the trauma of rape survivors and homicide survivors in order to hold on to their seats. And that's just the baseline of who they are as humans, and I can't vote for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's horrible to see, and there's I don't know. I still say that at the end of the day, a right-wing Democrat is still better on like 20% of the issues than a Republican.
Yes.
And so obviously, like, you should vote for a Democrat, never vote for a Republican. But it's tough because I mean there's a lot of Democrats over the years. I mean for all the good that Pritzker's done, I do also, there's a lot of stuff that I question even with him too. So
same.
Well, you should question everything with everybody.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
true.
demand better. I mean, one of the things one of the reasons I ran for state rep was because this state is one of the worst in the country when it comes to services for people with disabilities. And I was so grateful that Ken introduced us on the air, and I already had worked previously when he was a state rep, but candidate for lieutenant governor, Christian Mitchell, who, I mean, like there's so many issues that not everybody who's in office actually knows what some of the concerns you have are. That's why we have to keep showing up at our state electeds'
We have
offices,
to.
don't you think?
Yeah, I think that, so in the military, I found out when I was in Germany that we didn't really have functional war plans. We just had war plans that were essentially a wish list of what they hoped we would have one day. Like, it included a bunch of equipment that didn't actually exist, and it was just their way of telling Congress what they wanted. And so, like, when I was there, we had to make the first realistic war plans for Europe that they had in a very long time. And I think that's just kind of how you have to look at the world. Like, most people are just a lot of people in every job are just looking to have a paycheck. It's the same way in politics, right? And so, I mean, there's a lot of staffers that they think, oh, this is the way it's always been done. This is the way it always will be done. But that's not going to happen if we actually hold them accountable. But that means that we have to be present.
Yeah, I agree.
I
Completely.
agree 100%.
I just moved the screen so that Ken. I know you can't see Ken on our StreamYard right now, but I have to tell you, I know Ken wanted to see the wonderful tats that you have, by the way.
Yeah.
But I am so distracted by the U of ILL. Thank you very much. I think we probably talked about this before. I graduated in '93 with a degree in history. I loved Champaign-Urbana. Tell us a bit about what did you start out wanting? Were you in the military when you went to college, before or during? Or at?
So I actually dropped out of college from Illinois State, and I didn't know what to do. I was about to start junior college, and then I saw the Illinois Army National Guard offered free in-state tuition, and so I jumped on it. And that's how I was able to go to college at U of I, and I did ROTC. I was actually a scientist in a former life.
Oh, wow.
I have a master's in biochemistry. I was in a graduate program for a while, but I came back from Afghanistan and had a ton of PTSD. and ended up deploying to Germany for 3 years to help Ukraine. And so I got back in late 2024, and I was really just struggling with what do I do, especially after Trump won. And so eventually that was run for Congress, right? I just think that no matter what, like, people need to understand that even if you don't win, you're still moving the needle.
Correct.
So many progressives have lost across the country. We saw it in Florida again. I mean, that was Angie, I can't remember her last name,
Nixon.
won that amazing victory in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But a ton of down ballot races, the progressives lost to corporate Dems. So we just got to keep pushing.
I agree completely. We were talking
And we can't push if we don't run.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's we were talking a little bit about that, in regards to encouraging folks to run for office. If they've thought about it, start out by volunteering at your local offices, your Democratic Party offices. I know that the folks in DuPage, folks in Cook County, I go up to Wisconsin. If you want to get some experience on what it's like in a campaign office, volunteer.
Well,
I will say,
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to take that a step further and say, if you find a candidate that you resonate with, volunteer for them directly. Because I think sometimes when you volunteer, especially if young people, they go into these conglomerate, it's all BS. And they end up having to push, starting out, pushing their own morals aside because the party is representing something that they don't. And I hate that young people get involved in politics at such a sleazy level. So I always recommend, especially for young people, don't go to the party. Go to the candidate that resonates with you and find out what makes that go. That's a better usage of your time. That's all I'm going to say. Dylan, back to you.
and I do think at the end of the day, like, there are organizations in your area, whether it's Indivisible, whether it's DSA,
Yes.
Whether it's even a group like PSL. If it's something that you want to get experience door knocking and trying to get a referendum on the ballot or something like that, like, these groups try to do that.
Yes.
And you don't have to agree with everything that they stand for, but it's good to know how the process works. Like, when I ran for Congress, I had no clue what I was doing. Most of my volunteers had never worked for a campaign before, and their only experience was knocking for Bernie Sanders. And so you gotta get that muscle memory. And I mean, something that I really stunk at was calling and begging people for money, but that is another part of being a grassroots candidate. So, like,
the people who are good at that, I don't. That's foreign to me.
I'm really good at it. Like, I've had my friends that are running for office like, can you call people for me? And I'm like, yep, I got it.
Oh man, next time.
Well,
Yeah, just call. I'm good at it.
Well, not only that, but I would want to sit in the room with. I remember I sat in the room with Representative Jaime Andrade.
Yeah.
Showed me the ropes of doing call time.
And the way I look at it, the worst you can do is say no. I've been told no hundreds of times.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
can I tell you language that I absolutely love that came from Senator Dan Katowski? He goes, rather than asking for the number, he said, say, would you consider contributing $500 to my camp? Like, say, would you consider?
Interesting.
Right? Isn't that great language? Would you consider? Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, you probably have other.
yeah, that I'll go into if you pay $29.99 a month for the Ken Mejia Beal Hump Day Honey special. Bill's got to get paid, baby.
Oh my God. By the way, let's take a break here. We're talking to Dylan Blaha. He's the state director for Let's Address Illinois, and he posts on Substack 6 days a week. So is it Let's Address Illinois is the Substack?
Yep, it's Let's Address Illinois.substack.whatever.
And when we come back, we're going to address it.
Okay, let's address it. But I also have a phone call on hold. I want to take Al's phone call when we come back because I told him I would open up the phone lines, and then I left him there. And I don't want to do that. Also, listener says, I love Ken's laugh. You guys are making me smile, laugh in such a depressing world.
It's a genuine laugh.
Thank you. We're having a good time. And we'll be right back with Dylan Blaha and Ken Mejia Beal, my Hump Day Honey guest co-host for Wednesdays. More in a moment on WCPT, KTNF, KKNW, and hello, everyone, digitally.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, KTNF AM 950. And we're so glad to have our Hump Day Honey joining us in studio. Ken Mejia-Beal, the Midwest Chair for the Victory Fund. Go to victoryfund.org to learn more about the work that they do and support their mission. We also want to welcome back to the show Dylan Blaha, the State Director for Let's Address Illinois. You can find everything he writes, which is 6 days a week on Substack. And he's an organizer and former congressional candidate for the 11th District of Illinois. And we're going to take the phone calls in just a moment, so please be patient, and we appreciate it because Ken had some thoughts.
No,
on his
I
mind.
do.
Yes.
I do. And this is why I really wanted you to be here. I'm a huge supporter of Let's Address Illinois. What I love, and there's so many people in Illinois politics that run to cap facts. I'm going to say it, and that's the last time I'll say it. But what I love about what you guys do.
Do they run to it, or were they in some ways forced to have subscriptions to it? I'm sorry, go ahead, carry on.
I've heard that they're forced to have subscriptions. That's what I've heard.
I mean, just saying.
So,
well, that guy's in jail. But anyway.
But with that said, every time I will read a cap facts on something happening. And it's always based on whatever politician wants it to be that way. It's not real. It's BS. And when I read your articles, it's like, got it. That is probably close to it's the truth. It is reality. It is based on fact finding, not based on who's being paid to say what or whose butt we're kissing this week. So I want to thank you for doing the work you do. Have you received any pushback?
Oh.
So CapFacts did write about me. I did a interview with Rep. Ann Stava.
Yes, who is a really good friend of mine. Continue.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she said that she faced some retribution for signing on to the bill that would repeal the anti-BDS law in Illinois. And so they talked to, Rep. Dan Dittich and their other friends and got them to say on the record that that wasn't true. Which it was killed in committee. So it is just, I mean, it's one of those things that at the end of the day, am I a progressive leftist candidate that wants to advance progressive politics? Yes. But at the end of the day, I will also hold any politician accountable that steps out of line. I mean, while I will, fight to defend Pritzker and Brandon Johnson when they do something good, I just wrote about that quantum data center last Friday that I'm not a fan of because it's owned by the Department of War and it's probably going to be used for nefarious purposes. But we've gotten a lot of good scoops, and I'm excited. Like you guys said, I write 5 articles a week and then a summary on Saturday, so 6 total.
I don't want to put either. Well, I definitely don't want to put Ken on the spot, but I know that there are a lot of conversations around the Speaker of the House. And which is it's very challenging because this is the first speaker we've had since we had the longest serving Speaker of the House in Illinois in the United States history, and he is in jail. And the right? I mean, this is bonkers. And I know that there was a lot going on even before they voted to have Speaker Welch as the speaker. And after Rick Pearson and Jeremy Gorner's article came out, I know that there are more conversations happening behind doors than they are. Like it doesn't. I'm just saying. What are you hearing? Anything you are willing to share with us? And again, I'm not putting Ken on the spot for anything.
I mean,
I have opinions, but
yeah. You can share your opinions if there's anything you want to share. Go ahead, Dylan.
So from what I've heard, without sharing any names, is there are a lot of people who have posted or said that they're really unhappy with how this was handled because the allegations date back against Harry Benton since 2023, and until early 2026, it felt like no action was taken. And so, in the meantime, as people have brought up, they spent $1.4 million to get this man reelected. So I don't know. I mean, I do think that.
I think it's gonna be challenging I think a lot of people are worried about voting for him again, and then and I don't like saying optics, but how it can be used, how this can be weaponized against people who are running for reelection who might be in. This is a very tricky situation. Yeah, because the Capitol has struggled with internal investigations into sexual harassment to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, this is like you said. I mean, well, actually, shoot, I mean, Carol Ammons is under investigation too, but for something
Right.
very different. But yeah, I mean, it makes people lose faith in their government right now, and I think at least calling into question his speakership should be a healthy thing to do, right? Like, I think that it's unfair for people to maybe just dogpile. We should stick to facts. But at the end of the day, like if the rest of the house doesn't feel confident in how that was taken care of. Like in that specific case with Harry Benton, there were two more women who came forward who were sexually harassed by him in 2025 and 2026, and that could have been prevented if things were different.
Yeah, that's so. I thank you for. I just have been thinking about that too, and I was talking to somebody earlier today, and again, everyone's got different experiences with the speaker and the job that he said, and the same can be said in the Senate with President Harmon. I mean, he had some, questionable campaign issues with financing as well. Yeah. That I don't believe. Yeah,
I will say this, and I do not believe, given this circumstance, that the amount of reactionary vitriol would be happening to President Harmon in the way that is happening to Speaker Welch.
And I've wondered why no one's talked about the campain financing.
And I will stand by that. Mm-hmm. That is, I strongly believe that.
I hear that. I hear that.
I think you weigh all the things that Mike Madigan did versus.
I mean, that's why I brought up the fact that he
did. It is a whole different level.
I am unapologetically. I don't follow anyone blindly. I'm keep my eyes wide open. I am a supporter of Speaker Welch because of the good that he's done for the community. The situation regarding Representative Benton is unfortunate, and he has resigned. The length of time it took, it was lengthy. I'm not in those rooms. I don't know those rooms, but what I am going to say is something was done. Was it done too late? Maybe. But something was done, and I do feel that there is a certain demographic of House reps right now that just simply don't like having black leadership. And that is what I will say.
I will also say, I mean, in regards to Speaker Madigan, one of the things that finally brought him down were sexual harassment allegations that led to further investigation with Elena Hampton.
Yes.
And the retaliation against her as a campaign manager and the work that she was able to do. So at any rate, I didn't mean to throw you too much. I just realized I wanted to touch on that. It doesn't help that I have Cap Facts open in front of me, which I haven't looked at. I haven't looked at this brag.
Listen, when I come in with an open book. I'm an open book, and I support Speaker Welch.
Yeah,
that's where I
hear
am.
You.
Yeah,
I hear you. I don't. I don't cover state politics, like Illinois politics, as much for various reasons.
But back to you, Dylan. So when you're,
like Ken said before, it's healthy to question leadership. So,
absolutely,
I think it's the same thing.
I think we should question everybody.
When you look at the Chicago Tribune and every other corporate media outlet dogpiling on, I mean, there's a reason why that's happening.
I just don't like the narrative of the hypersexual, scary black man. It's very, I don't use the word triggering very often. You've never heard me use that. It's very triggering for me that it's turned into such a caricature of what black men go through in America every day. And I simply do not like the characterization. Yeah. Let's talk about the issue. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what someone else did, but let's not make it sound like he was in the room rooting this on, and let's not play that game.
I agree with that because I do think it's sensationalized in a way.
It is, and that's the part that I do not like.
I agree with
that.
But
when you're writing stories like this, do you ever have a moment of, let me wait before I put it out there?
Oh, that's so hard because I feel like there's a difference between just regular journalism where you can maybe hold a story for a day versus I think there's like a certain churn to social media and even Substack that it's like you want to make sure that you're putting something out. Mm-hmm. So if I have a question, I'll talk to, my boss, Qasim Rashid. Maybe I'll hold something and I'll write something else like short that'll go out that day. But it is hard. I mean, it's a judgment call. And I think I've had to reckon with the fact that I'm going to be wrong. and I'm going to have to own that some of the takes that I have might have been a little too hard. I mean, I wrote an article about Susana Mendoza yesterday, and that one I actually, the 56 bodies that were found at that funeral home, and I felt like I was a little bit kinder to her because there are like some layers to it that technically she wasn't in charge of that, but it is just like, how in the world did the government let this happen at the end of the day, that two agencies didn't communicate with one another?
Can you elaborate?
Because
I will tell you,
Because there's people that don't have any idea what was happening right now.
yes, go ahead, Dylan. Update folks on the situation at several funeral homes.
So there was a couple who, Susana Mendoza, as the Illinois comptroller, ended up finding last year that these people were negligent at their crematorium, and since she's in charge of crematoriums, she was able to shut it down. That was a year ago. So recently, these people owned a funeral home called, I think it was like South Chicago Chapel, that authorities found 56 bodies that were improperly handled and 56 cremated remains that were improperly handled. And people were like, well, why did this happen? And so Susana Mendoza said that, oh, well, the comptroller's office isn't on top of, in charge of funeral homes. That's a different department. And so it's like, wait, what? So yeah, I do think that technically she might not bear responsibility, but it really calls into question, like, wait, how did this happen? These people, the woman who was responsible she's had her license since 1998, I believe.
Wow.
And that's something, and I've talked to Patty about this off air. That's really why I wanted to have you here. And this is why we definitely want our listeners to subscribe to your Substack, because when I read your articles, I don't read them in such a way of finger pointing. I read them in more of a way of, how did we get here? And how can we make it better versus this is what this horrible person did. And it doesn't feel so lynch mobby. And I appreciate that, because I guess I'm not a finger pointer. I just want to know how this happened and what we can do to like make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah. And in very few instances, it is because of a person. It's usually because of a process or lack thereof, or a systemic blind spot, which is something that you highlight often. And I appreciate that as a reader.
No, thank you. I think it's important to note that, like I've said on the campaign, like many candidates have said, Trump's fascism is a huge problem in America, but it is not the only problem.
No.
Like as Bernie Sanders talks about with oligarchy, and just the fact that we have so many systems that are designed to beat working people down, and we're here to shine a light on them.
Well, I'm so grateful that you do, and we look forward to having you in studio soon. I know you're going to be coming to Chicago, so
I'll be seeing you.
With us.
Where can we subscribe?
You can subscribe at, I would just go to @DylanTBlaha on any social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can find the link to it on there. But it is also, let me pull up, it is let'saddressillinois.substack.com. That's super easy, actually. Okay. And I have gotten criticism about Substack in general, so I definitely condemn them platforming Nazis. But Qasim has toyed with other platforms right now, and I think the problem is that like Substack is where people are, and that's the best place for growth. And we're going to keep, yelling at them if they platform Nazis. I
say stay on the path, yell at them for platforming Nazis, but just remember that Nazis also have freedom of speech in this country.
Everywhere.
So there you go.
They're everywhere.
They do.
Unfortunately, like I wish they listen. The gay black guy wishes that Nazis didn't, but they do.
Dylan, thank you for everything.
Thank you, Dylan.
And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime.
Enjoy.
Seriously. Take care.